referred to as learning classical oil painting with me. This video is going to be under the idea that it is possible to learn while watching a painting video, but not necessarily through comments. So I have turned off the chat. There might be a few people watching this right now wondering what happened to the chat. This is an experiment of mine. This is already dry. I started recording this for a pre-recorded video for Saturday, and I don't want to repeat the past too much, so I'm just gonna paint. Feel free to paint along with me. Use this as a kind of like a podcast style video, or just to have in the studio while you're working. These are ALKYD oil colors: titanium white, yellow, red, alizarin, crimson, raw umber, black, ultramarine blue. The brand that I am using is Griffin ALKYD from Winsor Newton. I am going to do something that I have not done yet for you all here on the internet. At least I don't think. I am going to simply paint and get to a point of which I myself don't know how to progress. This is a NELSON SHANKS image. You can Google Mr. Fitting NELSON SHANKS. Once again, Mr. Fitting NELSON SHANKS. That's the name of the painting. Like I said, I already recorded the start of this. Leave a comment after the video is over. Let me know if you want, or if it even matters if I show you the beginning of this. Like, this is just a raw umber start on a wooden panel. You've seen this kind of start millions of times from other creators, not just me. But today, and it depends on how I feel, to be honest. I've been kind of in a rut, really bad rut actually, for the past couple weeks. But I just want to paint, not talk too much, and just let you enjoy the footage. So I won't talk that much now. Now, I said I won't talk much, but that doesn't mean I won't talk at all. So the one thing I should explain is why I'm using ALKYD in the first place. Those of you that don't know, ALKYD oil paint is a fast drying oil paint. It's an oil paint that has ALKYD in it. ALKYD is a fast drying medium. Turns out I just found out that Gamblin stopped making Neo McGilt for some reason. That's no good. That was my favorite medium, because it didn't smell as much. But that was an ALKYD medium. So I decided I might as well just buy the ALKYD colors, and when I want to slow down the drying, I'll just mix it in with some regular oil paints. I like ALKYDs because they dry within, they become touch dry within probably 2 hours or so. So it kind of tells me when to stop, when to put the brush down, and to move on to another project. Yes, I have many projects going on right now. I just finished one commission. I posted a human commission, not just a pet portrait this time, though. You know, I love pet portraits. And I discovered that if I can work every day and do a different layer at least every other day on a painting, I'm a little bit more proficient than having to wait. I've used ALKYDs in the past, I've done painting reviews of different ALKYD colors in the past, so this is really nothing new. What is new is those of you that might be watching this live and wondering what the heck happened to the chat. Again, the chat is disabled. I disabled the chat because I want to be able to just focus on painting. There's a lot to be said for this in the middle stage, or beginning in the middle stage. I created a post on Facebook for those of you that might follow me on Facebook. Basically, I'm in a rut with my own technique, so I'm not gonna lie to you all and try to teach you something new today through my words. I'd rather let the painting do the talking. But as I do a little bit of talking in this video, I want you to know I'm not entirely happy with the way that I've been painting the past couple years. I feel like my technique has taken a nosedive ever since I moved to Northern Virginia, and haven't been painting from life as as often as I used to back in Maryland. And not to blame it on anything, but sometimes it feels better to just blame things on something else. Like I said, this is a podcast, right? You can turn me off if you want to. Just go to audio. It's right there. See it? Press it. Mute. You can shut me up if you want to. That's okay. But anyway, yeah, I've been in a rut, and I noticed that my painting skill has gone down in terms of finish, in terms of the fine finish. I was so focused on completing a painting in a certain period of time that I lost track of the fact that painting is a timeless activity. So I feel personally that these master studies, in conjunction with doing self-portraits, are the best thing you can do. And yeah, I've got a self-portrait going on at the moment. Maybe I'll stream that later another day. I don't know. But I am making the 1.5 hour trip to where I used to paint from life on Saturdays. So I think I'm getting a little bit better now. NELSON SHANKS knows some stuff that I don't know, obviously. Rembrandt knows some stuff that I don't know, but I spent a lot of time with Rembrandt. So I feel like I need to venture off into finer finish paintings like this one. Bouguereau. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to find realist painters to want to emulate other than Bouguereau, NELSON SHANKS. To be honest, Sargent, I'm not as big of a fan of Sargent for his finish. It's a little too brushy for me. But, painters like that. With these ALKYDs, make sure you have a window open close to you. I do have a window open, not in this space, but pretty darn close to me. make sure you have a door open. Alkyds do tend to smell, especially when you thin them with the mineral spirits. I'll go so far as to say they kind of stink. But when you switch to regular oil paints, like linseed oil, just regular linseed, no alkyd, it's a very pleasant thing. You have a much longer open time with them. But alkyd is really nice for classical painting. It's just as good as buying a Rublev. What's a Rublev? This is one of the Goldilocks of oil paints. I know you can't read it because it's so old, but this is lead tin yellow from Rublev. Rublev is natural pigments, oil colors, and they do dry pretty much the next day, most of them. And that's because it's just pure pigment and linseed oil. At least that's what they say. I used the most expensive paints I had. Lead white, lead tin yellow, chrome red, chrome yellow, all Rublev colors for my recent commission. And I was happy at the drying rate. And I just kind of messed around with some of the alkyds that I had before and realized it's kind of the same thing. It just doesn't have the thickness. And you can also turn this into a time lapse, by the way. Yes, you can turn this video into a time lapse if it's too slow for you. I've had some comments about 15-minute videos, and you know that's an idea, but I think what I want right now is to just focus on the process. Not so much the editing or the narration. Notice how I'm not getting into details with the eyes. I'm working the shapes around the eyes, but I could have easily started with the detail of the eyes. So it's personal preference. One very common mistake of mine is making the lips too low. And I think I do that because I'm afraid of making them too close and making it look like the model has dentures. And there's nothing wrong with having dentures. I know some people in their 30s that you wouldn't even tell that they do have like they have to wear something so that their front teeth are there. So there's nothing wrong with the dentures or anything like that, but I think it's just a habit of mine. And I noticed it when I painted from life last week. I made the model's mouth too far down. So just know what your tendencies are. So once again, this video is under the premise that it is possible to learn simply by watching the painting process. Very little editing, well, no editing, but very little interruption with this stream. Chat is turned off, and I'm painting much slower than you're used to on the video. It's going to take me a couple uploads to get used to this, assuming I do continue this. I thought I was going to return to the old format until I don't know, man. It's too much of the same thing for me. But those of you that are watching and you may, be experiencing the same thing, if you're in a rut with your oil painting or just your art in general, or if you're just in a rut in life in general, sometimes the best thing to do is to just keep going. For example, I always would tell students, if you're in a rut or if you're stuck with your art, just keep the brush moving. Every day you wake up and you're able to keep that brush moving is a success. And I'm feeling that way. I think the stress of YouTube trying to, create posts to keep up with everyone else is too stressful for me. It's just too stressful. Trying to keep up with all the new content creators out there is too much on my mental health. And I'm just really tired of the quick painting, the quick look. That's not what I wanted to do when I was a teenager. I was always aspiring to NELSON SHANKS paintings. Somewhere along the line, I got too focused on views, too focused on having a name on YouTube. Painting from life again has really, really helped me figure out my limitations. If you go on my Instagram and you see my previous post, the portrait that I did from life over the span of like 7 hours or something like that, you would think that that'd be enough time. But I was not happy with what I did. Not happy at all. It's better than what I did 10 years ago, but I expected more of myself by this point in my life. 34 years old, I expected more. But I got distracted. I rode motorcycles, I played pool, I did aggressive inline skating. one thing I'll never ever regret is training my Shiba, Hugo. By the way, check out his Instagram, Hugo the Shiba Inu. But yeah, this is where it's at, right here. You know, I'm not telling you exactly what step I'm using for everything. It's not a step by step. But I'm trying to share the skill building process. And those of you that, I've been here before, but those of you that are going to say that you're going to unsubscribe to me because I uploaded something different, that's up to you. You're not going to bring me down any worse than I already am, but just think about what you say before you say it, because you may actually learn something from this, because I'm learning something from this painting. But yeah, YouTube is a cruel, cruel world. In case those of you that don't know, I've been on here since 2017. And everybody's on their own path, right? Just because I'm not happy with what I've done in the past 10 years with my work doesn't mean that you should be unhappy with what you've done. You know, it's everything I've done to get to this point has made me who I am, and I'll never regret that. I will regret that I didn't push harder with oil painting, but I've got plenty of time. 34, we'll see where I'll be in 44. Just like the post that I made on my Facebook. here's one learning moment. I'm looking at this bluish green transition right underneath of a red, sandwiched in between the blue of the eyes and kind of a yellow highlight and a green highlight in the original. Now, Nelson Shanks studied with Henry Henshey. Those of you that don't know Henry Henshey, which is, he was the foremost best teacher for painting color relationships, something that cannot be done via photo reference. You have to make it up with photo reference. So very few painters can do this, go into form like Nelson did, transition from the warm, from the red pink to the green. Don't think about temperature, think about hue. The hue of the color. The hue is whatever color it is, orangey blue. Now Nelson could go into such form, but still maintain color variation, which is very rare. He's the only painter I know of in history that has done that successfully. Usually when people study color via Henry Henshey method, they go off the rails with their form and their drawing. And a lot of people go into classical painting and don't even know who Henry Henshey is, and think that everything is value and everything. If you're trying to make an impressive image like I've been trying to do forever on YouTube, and you disregard color like I have been doing the past couple years, everything is predictable. But when you paint from life and you actually study color, it's the most magnificent skill that very few portrait painters in history have ever been able to attain. And I've been fortunate enough to have teachers that studied with both Nelson Shanks and Henry Henshey. Now, Nelson Shanks had a 22 color palette, and there's a lot to be said for an extended palette. But with great power comes great responsibility. That is, be able to do both. Change value and change hue via life painting. Luckily, the photograph of this one is good enough that I could see that Nelson did that. That's a learning moment for me. Again, I don't really notice things like that, and they don't exist in a Rembrandt or a Bouguereau or a Sargent or any painter prior to Henry Henshey. Pretty cool. I've worked with the 22 color palette, and if I had enough money I would have a 22 color palette, but I don't even know if ALKYD oil paints has 22 colors, to be honest. Once again, going back to the main idea of learning through watching the painting. If I had the luxury of going into a bubble and watching the greatest painters of all time paint, I would value that more than watching the greatest painters of all time create an edited tutorial. If I could. There's a relatively new video that's surfaced of NELSON SHANKS painting in the Art Students League in New York. Or some school in New York. I forgot already. It's on YouTube. Check it out. And I always wondered why he didn't talk when he painted. And I thought maybe he was just too cool for school to talk and paint, like what I'm doing here. But I think the truth is that he was trying to show us to truly focus on the task at hand. I mean, if you were to count my words in this video, it's probably a lot less than the net average of my 1 hour long YouTube videos. And the paints are starting to dry on me. So that's going to be a good telltale sign of when to stop. Alright, the paint is definitely drying, so let me block in something with the background. And then that's it for today. I didn't know we were painting Emperor Palpatine, but I guess that's where it's going. Now I'm just taking advantage of the background in relation to the form while I still can move the brush around. So it's gonna get to a point where it's too dry to move the brush, like there. And this is how we improve. There's no way around it. You have to study the masters, and then do self-portraits and still life. Work from life as much as you can in conjunction to master studies. This takes a great deal of patience, more than a quick study. But if your goal is to improve in a classical painting sense, you're gonna have to put in the time. It's like going to the gym and eating your vegetables. goodness ALKYD paint is cheaper than buying like Rublev or Old Holland or Williamsburg, because man, they dry fast. It's tough to save them. Can't really save them, to be honest. You just gotta use them. Okay, alright, so I have covered enough. Like I said, this is ALKYD, so pretty much 24 hours from now, it'll be workable yet again. Didn't really paint the hair or the ear, but hey, I knew I wasn't gonna finish it today. And as I return to it later on, like I said, there's gonna be things that I don't quite know. Yes, you can comment that the drawing is a little bit off or the color's off or something like that. Like that's not helpful. The form is what I'm after, and at this point it's way too early for me to get to that point. It'll take me a while till I get to the point where there's not much that I know, but obviously I know there's drawing and color issues, but that I don't care. I'm trying to work up to the fine finish that Nelson has in his original painting. So anyway, once again, this was a very different stream. I apologize for those of you that were like, where's the chat? Where's the chat? It's not that I don't want to talk to you all. It's just I'm going through something. I'm going through a rut. And I just need to paint and keep moving this brush around is what I aim to do. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I wish you the very best. I'll see you next time.